welcome for those that have never joined us with AI Live, but this is our little talk show.
Yeah, we get to kind of casually have our little Regis and Kathy Lee time or whatever
Right.
it is or whatever, yeah. So we get to kind of go through things that might interest you in the aesthetic world and kind of get some fun out of this whole thing. So it's been a month since we had our last AI Live. Where have we been? What have we done in this last month? I don't remember. Where have I been? Have we been traveling?
Have I traveled? I don't
I
think I've traveled. This month has gone by way too fast.
Yeah, I would. Where was I?
I?
Oh, I was in Portland. I was in Florida. Oh, yeah, I was in Texas. I was in Texas, then Florida, then Fort Worth, Texas. So then Portland. Yeah, so I was training every weekend, kind of.
I was in Miami. I did a cadaver course for MERS in Miami. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That was fun. And then we got to have Julie Horn here.
That was last weekend we had Julie here doing her lip master class.
She's such a hoot.
I love her. She's so much fun, you guys.
She's so down to earth. You know, in this industry, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of people who are, just love the gram, love to be out there. And Julie is definitely not that type of person. We loved her. She blanketly just this is my story, this is who I am, this is what I'm going through. She swears up the wazoo, which I love. Her jokes are freaking hilarious. I can't wait to go and hang out with her more.
We're in the restaurant. She just took off her wig, okay, it's itchy, and she puts it on the back of her chair, and she's like, okay. And we're like, you look beautiful bald. This is so not fair. She is just a real gal, and she is honest. She's smart. She is motivated. She's come through this cancer and the chemotherapy, and she's on the other side, and we all just love and support her to the world. We just love her.
Yeah. No.
We're probably going to go, we're really discussing taking the Aesthetic Immersion maybe to Norway at the end of August. So we're talking about that we'll do something out there with her.
We'll be out there.
We're discussing it. So
we'll be out there for a conference, teaching in Ireland. So we're like, might as well drop by and visit Julie in Norway. So
Julie's like, let's do something. We're like, okay, let's do something.
It'll probably be end of August, beginning of September. So if you guys want to join and make a little vacation out of it, watch out on the Aesthetic Immersion, and we'll see.
Go to our class and go see the Northern Lights.
You really want to see
I have to see the Northern Lights. It's my bucket list. It's all right.
Oh. But yeah, both of us actually got lucky. We got injected. I think I was more forced to get injected.
You were.
Sorry. Pure pressure.
I know. She's like, you need your lips done.
So yes, I did get my lips done by Julie. Not intentionally wanting them, but hey, you know what?
When she says you need it, you're like, okay.
When the queen of the lips says you need it, I guess you need it.
Right? I'm still waiting for mine to kind of settle a little bit, but it's all good. It's better than having no lips.
All right. What else? What else do we have?
A mentorship. You guys remember we got the mentorship program. If you're in it, then you probably know how much you love it. We just hear good feedback all the time about the program, how everybody, they're just learning so much. You have the world at your fingertips for education. So there's 3 different levels to the mentorship program, and it went up, I think, this April 1st. I think the fees went up yesterday. So we give everybody warning, but they went up a little bit for this year, kind of, as we go along. But I think for the money, the Founders Club is absolutely where you want to be. You're going to be able to get, after this show, we always have an online Zoom with our founders and kind of go through questions and concerns about their own clinics and what they're seeing. And we always have a little educational snippet in there. So it's really, really nice to be able to see our mentees and to talk with them and discuss issues, to be a mentor. I think that's what the whole reason we wanted to do that. And it's very rewarding when we have people come up to us at conferences and let us know how much they enjoy being in the program.
Yeah, it's definitely our little passion.
Yeah.
I think we train a little bit differently. I would definitely say we train a lot differently. Ours is We like to banter sometimes. We banter a lot sometimes. But I mean that's what this is. That's what this field is all about. It's about hearing different sides of a coin. And understanding that you guys can learn to disagree, approach things differently, still get great results on either side of the coin. And then it challenges you just to be more open, because the aesthetic industry, medicine, is constantly going to change. And if you just get stuck in a way, which I think a lot of people go into a program, or I was taught this way, so I have to do it this way. I was taught to do this. I need to draw these lines. I need to do this. And I my new soapbox for the year is, think of this as makeup. Fillers are makeup. You could sit in this artist's chair and come out looking beautiful and natural. You can sit in this person's chair and come out looking horrendous. And it's not about the makeup. It's not about the fillers. It's understanding what the fillers are all about, how they can be used, what's the expectation. And then it's your artistry that's going to take it to the next level. And that's where you guys need to stop getting hooked on, oh, that person has this technique, that person has this technique, and I need to do this technique because that person said this. You guys need to stop that. There is no one right technique out there. Please stop that. I hear that all the time. Both Lori and I's techniques have changed over the years. Yeah. And, it's not about how to do it. It's about just getting to the end result. At the end of the day, it's kind of like a cook. You get into the kitchen, you're like, well, I have this and this and this today. I'm going to make something work out of it. It's that simple, and it should be that way. And you guys need to get out of it. Yes, there are basics you need to learn, the anatomy, all of these things, but artistry needs to stay in this field, and that is what I am seeing getting lost in this field significantly. Everyone's looking for, even unfortunately in our membership program, when we send out surveys, the most disappointing thing were some of the surveys came back and said, why are you guys going over anatomy? Why are you guys going over all of this aging of the face? Because why can't you just tell me what filler to use and just how much
and where to push
and where to put it? And that literally just like it. This is the reason why I'm on my soapbox this year. Is because that literally was a kind of a slap in the face to those of us that really enjoy this field and want to take it to the next level. This is your playtime. This is understanding the safety of medicine, but then being able to really, really take it to the next level and paint your picture. That is your picture for your patients. And so that is the hardest thing to really engage. Yes, Vanessa, you need the foundation. But a lot of that foundation, if I had to really tell you guys, is not going to be found by just going to a conference, by really just going to free education. Free education. Yeah. Unfortunately, as much as we train for some of the companies out there, a lot of that is not what we do, unfortunately.
I think when we get a comment like, could you stop beleaguering all the anatomy stuff and could you just tell us where to put the filler and how much to put? To me, that sometimes is probably newer injectors. That's people who are newer at it, because it is paint by number when you're newer. Think back to when you first started injecting, or maybe you've just started injecting. And the way you look at things is more, I've got to paint in the lines. I've got to put the needle and just inject just this little bit. You're looking at your syringe, 1/10, what does that look like? Another 1/10, what does that look like? So you're kind of painting within those numbers and learning what it looks like when you put a certain amount of filler somewhere. As you become more experienced, you aren't looking at that syringe so much as you're looking at your canvas. You're really looking at how you're blending this color here and how you're blending this color here and how that whole canvas is starting to look. So when you get to where you are a more experienced and a more efficient ejector, you're going to start understanding the concept of artistry, the concept of anatomy, what I need to do, where I need to go, and transition into that more expert injector category. And I think it's really important that you understand kind of where you're at in that transition, because only the very, very beginners are going to need to know how much and where do I put it. After that, you're going to start looking at the tissue and how that tissue is responding.
Sure.
So that's where the artistry, everybody's artistry is different too.
Everybody's artistry different. And I don't tell people, the newer ones of you guys that are watching, yes, for sure, like what Lori says, you know, color in the book, you know, it's like seeing blue. Okay, I'm going to color that blue, stay within the lines. That is for sure. But once you're comfortable with that, you need to start playing. I think for me, looking back at my career and how I got to where I am, you learn the quick basics, and I was off playing. She would be, I'd be, Lori, hey, let's try this out. Let's play with this. And she'd be like, what?
Oh my gosh. Like, probably like 2013, you were injecting back up in here, and I'm like, what? Like, it might give me a heart attack. I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, yeah, we're going to lift from the hairline.
Lift.
That was way back then.
It was, but you know, you have to push yourself a little bit, knowing the safety, knowing the anatomy that we now know, not getting so scared. I think that's one of the new things that I'm starting to see is all the newbies are so scared. The ones that do spend the time educating yourselves and stuff like that, that is one of the bigger issues and stuff like that. But, you know, that's for... I think we jumped in the topic for next time, but that's for another topic.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to our topic for today, which is setting patient expectations. Yeah. I think this is an important topic. It's going to get you out of the trouble of your patient saying, but why do I have this? Why do I have this? Do I have this? And as much as you can explain things till you're blue in the face, it's gone in through one ear and out the other ear because the patient wants what they want. Right.
And the other thing with patients' expectations is, how about people who don't show up to visits? How about people who are habitually late? What do you do with these repeat offenders? How do we stop them from repeatedly offending us, you know, and really disrespecting our time? And they show up 20 minutes late with a Starbucks. You know, so how do we handle those? So we kind of want to go into unhappy patients, bad Yelp reviews, people who are habitual offenders of not showing up and late. And we'll kind of tell you what we've implemented that has worked really, really, really well to stop some of this stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into it. Disclosures. You saw that. Setting clear expectations. You know, I think we really, one of the things is, you know, and this unfortunately is going to take confidence. It's going to take time to develop this, where you're able to set the expectations, set the reality, know what the patient is going to go through. Because if you can set all of those expectations, and it's not just you saying it, you've taught your staff to say it, from the person that walks in the front when they greet the patient to the time they leave, and the same message is said over and over again, it really resonates and sticks in the patient's mind. Oh yeah, they kept saying that, and then they don't freak out as much because that was set as an expectation.
Yes, a couple things that I say almost every day to my patients when I'm doing toxins and they have a static line. I will explain to them, look, when I'm doing wrinkle relaxer, it will relax the muscle making the wrinkle. It doesn't iron your skin. It doesn't take the wrinkle away. And if they seem to not get it, I'll go get a mirror and I'll give them a mirror and I'll say, now relax your face. Is the line there? Yeah, the line's there. This is all that the neuromodulator is going to do. But if you don't wrinkle it, if you don't wrinkle your skin, every week, every month, that line is going to soften on its own.
Yep.
And I make sure that they hear that. It doesn't iron the line. Every week, every month, it's going to soften on its own. So what does that do? It tells the patient that don't call me in a week. We know it's going to be there. Don't call me in 3 weeks. That line's going to be there. But over time, it's going to soften. So do I get calls that line is still there? I don't. Because that's an right? The ones who don't listen. But that's I want to set that expectation. I want to make sure that they hear me and they understand that this medicine is not going to take the wrinkle away. It's going to not let you keep making the wrinkle.
Yep.
And let them once they understand that, then their expectation is realistic.
Yeah. And that's what it is bringing back reality of the situation. I'm sticking with a needle. Yes, you are going to bruise. Yes, you are going to swell. There is no possibility unless I was super lucky that I didn't give you a bruise. And I'm super lucky pretty much a good portion of the time.
Yeah, you are. You are.
So ultimately, and that is what it is setting reality. Is I'm sticking a needle in you, and if you've ever gone to like bodies of evidence, you saw all the blood vessels on there. How did I miss a blood vessel? Ultimately we were lucky. Okay, so you didn't bruise, you didn't swell. Great. Does not mean the next time I inject you, you're not going to get a bruise or swell. Okay.
I think something that's really important for you to remember as a provider, as an aesthetic provider, is I always want you to under promise and over deliver, which means I always promise a bruise. I tell people I bruise whenever a needle touches me. So you are probably going to bruise. So their expectation is a bruise, right? If they don't get a bruise, they're even happier. So I've over delivered, which most of the time they don't get a bruise. Because I use cannulas basically. But in general, I want them to kind of expect the worst, because anything above that's going to be great, right? So kind of under promise, if anything, under promise the effect of something. When I do under eyes, I say expect a 50% improvement. They're going to be better than that, but I want them to expect a 50% improvement. So that's super, super important. So those expectations are very, very important.
Yeah. Communication is key. And I completely agree with that statement. I think, and if you know me, I use analogies up the wazoo. I try to make an analogy for everything, because ultimately, if you can make it relatable to a patient, it becomes something that they are able to understand. And that's what communication is. You can't just say, oh, I told you this, and you're talking above them at this level and expect them to actually understand what you're saying, because they don't. And that people will always say, well, I communicated that. Well, did you really communicate it that the patient actually understood what you meant? And so asking them, can you, honestly repeat to me what I just told you? Because if they're able to at least repeat it, that means they have at least some understanding, or it was communicated. I mean, in medicine, what do we say? Watch one, teach.
See one, do
one,
one,
do one, teach one.
Yeah.
Yes. See one, do one, teach one. So by the time you can teach it, that really means that you understood everything about it. Okay? So communication is everything when it comes to
that's
all
what we
this.
call active communication or active listening. So if they can spit it back to you and they understand it, then you both understand. Or if people are saying something to you in a consult, and I repeat back to them oftentimes, so what I've heard you say a couple times is that your under eyes bother you the most. I've heard that a couple times. Is that true? So I want them to know I've listened to them, and then that helps with that communication.
Mm-hmm. So 6 steps of shared decision making. Gaining the patient's participation, as I said, really helping them understand it by having them being active, asking them questions that make sure that they understand, that that they understand what you're talking about. Providing them information and letting the patient kind of explore is important, because now it's not you telling them what to do, it's them making a decision, informed decision on what it is. You're there to guide them, and then they're there to explore what options they have and then make a decision from that. Okay? Asking for patients' preferences. I think asking for patients' preferences is important, and it's not to say that you have to take all of their preferences to heart. What you need to do is listen to them, like the consultation portion of it. It really is, I know a lot of practitioners go through this, and we all go through this. The patient comes in and says, well, you're the expert, you tell me what to do. Don't fall for that trap. That's a trap that will get you into a lot of trouble if you go down that rabbit hole, because now you're pointing out things that they never knew, they never saw, they never thought about, and either you're the bad person, or now they feel and go home feel so bad about themselves because they have all of this negative stuff about them. Don't fall into that. I always turn it back to them and say, well, you made the effort to look me up, to come and see me. You made an appointment. You waited a certain amount of time to come see me. There was something, who was it, Simon Sinek? No, somebody calls it the tipping point. I forgot who it was. there's always a tipping point. And that tipping point was whether they looked at themselves in the rearview mirror of their car, or they happened to walk by the bathroom and the light hit them in a bad way, and they're like, where did that come from? And then they're running to go see you. And so this is, figuring that out is what your job is. That's the communication aspect of it, of what you need to get out of the patient that will help guide where your shared decision making is going to go to. Okay.
And I think that in our consults, we really need to think about educating, not selling. We are really educating and selling at the same time. So we are telling our patients, here's facial aging, here's what's happened, here's what I think might benefit you, and here's why. This is what the products are. This is why we choose what we choose. This is everything about the product. This is how your body breaks it down. This is the aging process. This is where we put it. You give them all this education. And I tell my patients that are in my consults, I said, I'm gonna tell you everything I know about these products. I'm gonna tell you everything about this so that you have a really good knowledge base that you can decide to do or to not do it. But at least you have realistic expectations. You have the information of the risks and benefits, and you can make your own decision. I don't feel like I can sell anything, but I can sure educate the shoes off of somebody. And I think that's where, I think Leslie Fletcher, I think she trademarked this. I think it's called edu-sell, which I love that. It's like edu-selling. You're educating them and giving them information and letting them make that decision on what they want to do as a team, as a partnership.
It's totally.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 needs of every patient. And everybody is going to be different, between these 5. One of them stands up higher or lower and stuff like that. So 1, confidence in the outcome. Of course, people want to know that the results are going to be good. I mean, I think 90% of my patients come and say, I don't want to have big lips like that person. I don't want to have cheeks like that person. I'm like, you're not. Trust me. And, I tell them, I have this amount of syringes. You probably have never even thought that I had this amount of syringes. And they go, what? Yeah. So if it's done well, it looks great. And so confidence in the outcome is big, and if you can have pictures that show that and really, really help you, provide you could say photo evidence or physical evidence of how outcomes can come out really, really naturally, having done 6, 7, 8 syringes. That's great. That's where I want all of you guys to be able to get to, is to inject a couple of syringes. It doesn't need to be 6 or 8, but when I do some trainings with certain companies, I will push the practitioner and say, hey, we can do here, 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 here. Let's do it all. And they'll come out and they've done 8 and they're like, holy smokes, I didn't realize I could actually inject 8. I would never have thought on this patient I could finish 6, 8, 10 syringes on a patient. But that's the hard part. In this industry, you're limited on how much you can do. You're limited on the resources that you have to play. And so it really behooves you, when you do get these free trainings, to try and push yourself to the next level, push yourself to really, really gain more experience and really be able to see what you can do, because confidence in the outcome really comes out when you really, really have done it. Okay?
Right. It is. So you've got to do it to be able to be an effective educator.
Yep.
Like you're really sharing with these patients what you've experienced. So it's really a share is what it is. I think too that there's some red flags, like Brittany, you said, do you treat them if they fight your suggestions? That's a good question. It depends. I don't. If they really fight me, like they're looking at me like, you're crazy, I don't want this. You get a feeling from somebody that you're like, I don't want to treat you. Because there's red flags that go up. If they look at you, like I've had people before that sit back and they're looking at me like, I don't believe anything you're telling me. And if I get that vibe, I'm not going to treat them. Because you have to have that patient trust to develop that relationship, that they trust what you're saying, which is the truth. So if somebody's sitting back and they're looking at you like, yeah, my husband brought me here and he says I need something and you're lying to me, you just want money. You can get that vibe, and I wouldn't touch them, because that's a huge red flag. If somebody just doesn't understand, like they're like, you know what, I don't know, I think I don't need anything here, I just need it here. I go through the education again, like how the face ages, why we need it in certain places first over other areas first. And I generally haven't had somebody say no when you're talking through an education and an anatomical standpoint. I don't. They might not want to do it at that time, or they might not want to do everything at once, or they might want to space it out and do it in different procedure times at different dates. But generally, they're going to do that because they understand the why. And I think sharing that is really important.
No, completely. Let's see. Communication, we talked about that. Information, of course, providing them with as much information as you can about the treatment, what the expectation is, pre-care, post-care, all of those things, including, you know, what is the maintenance of it? You know, I think that is one of the big things in our industry, is talking about longevity of any of the treatments that you do. And one of the big things that I would recommend is, I tell my patient, it depends on your expectation. Are you the type of patient that is going to run to your hairstylist when you see a millimeter of white hair, or can you wait till you have 3 inches of white hair? That's going to set your expectation, because it's kind of like if you know your car needs 20 gallons of gas and you're down to 0.0001 gallon and you're still cruising along. You're the type that, you know, can wait a long time. And then they're the ones that like, oh, it dropped by 1 gallon. I need to keep going back and filling up.
Right.
I mean, it really is. This is where understanding your patient, really that communication, the information on both aspects of it comes to play. You know, educating them, and then of course the care and support. So everything comes around the patient.
There are many people who don't even watch their gas gauge.
No.
They come in and they're empty. They're like,
majority of them are empty, or the other portion are almost full or topped off. Yeah. And that's where we run the gamut. I think the people in between, they're the ones that I love, because they let me do what I need to do to get them a certain time, certain level and stuff like that. You know, longevity in this field, remember guys, is not 12 months for this filler or 18 months for this filler. Remember, it's when you looked at the research, and this is where you guys always get confused about it, and I hear it all the time, but that filler says it lasts 18 months. Read the study. It was when they did a touch-up, and then another touch-up, and then they did eight syringes. So if you didn't do 8 syringes on the patient, what makes you think that you're going to get 18 months out of it? If your car says you need 20 gallons to go 400 miles, you can't put 2 gallons of it and say, well, it says it could go 400 miles. What makes you think it's going to go 400 miles if you didn't fill up the gas tank? So this is where you guys who are newer really need to start understanding what is getting closer to more full correction and addressing all the different areas. Not, you know, yes, you're going to start off with a cheek or nasolabial and a chin. You're going to start off with small areas, but then it's your job, and why I talked earlier, it's your job to create the artistry, understand what things about that patient need to start changing, because all of it put together is going to get you that picture that creates the longevity.
And I think that's all part of the education process.
Yes.
Because if we tell patients, look, your issue here is coming from out here. And you give them a mirror and you go, oh, wow, you look really good. You know, just with volume out here, and educate them. That makes a huge, huge difference. Kelly, I think, asked a question about syringe sales info. You still sell by syringes, right?
I do syringes. Syringes, certain specialty areas like noses, foreheads, glabellas, I do a flat fee for those.
Yeah,
areas.
Mine is, I don't sell by syringes at all in my clinic. We're about an hour away from each other. I don't sell by syringes in my clinic at all. It is outcome. It is a flat fee for under eyes. It's flat fee. I have a Temple A and a Temple B. Patients don't know it's a 1 syringe or 2 syringe. They don't know. It's a Temple A, Temple B. I'll do mid-face, and in the consult I'll say, well, it'll be between $1,600 and $2,400. Depends on how your tissue responds to what I need to do. I switched to that this last year. I haven't had one person ask me how many syringes I'm putting in them. So I think that it's important that we get away from the units and get away from the syringes, so that people are not dictating to us what dose of a medical device or drug we put in them. And we've taught them to do this, so it's our own fault. So consider getting out of that and just saying, for your outcome of what you want, it'll be about this much, and give them a little ballpark. That helps a lot. No shows.
Oh, no shows.
I don't have them anymore.
Why?
Because I charge them money. So people used to not care about not showing up. They could care less about our time, holding our time free for either toxins, fillers, whatever the case may be. So a few years ago, we implemented they have to put a credit card down, and there is a fee to hold the appointment. So we have a $100 fee for toxins, wrinkle relaxer, and we have a $400 fee for any fillers. Okay, so no matter what they do, it's going to cost more than that anyway. But if they don't cancel within 48 hours, then we will charge them that fee. I don't have no-shows anymore. A consult is $250. So we do tell them that if they come to the consult and it's $250 for all 45 minutes of education and information and assessment, if they book something that day, they can take that $250 and put it towards that procedure if they book it that day. If they cancel it, we keep the $250. So we do not have no-shows. If someone comes more than 10 minutes late, it's a no-show. So people stay on time in my office. In fact, the other offices have implemented that too, right? You guys? Yeah.
We've slowly implemented certain portions of that, yes, for sure. I mean, I definitely, yes, the no-shows policies are important. It just shows that they value your time as much as, you value their time. And it's something that you can work on with your clinics and how you want to do it. But I think if there's nothing to lose, patients won't take responsibility for making the appointments. And your time is precious. You have other patients that could come in and see you and do other things with you and stuff like that. So I think it's important. It's kind of like when I go, I know I don't like to work out. It looks like I work out, which I do, but I pay somebody so I work out. And if I don't pay them, I pay them. And if I don't show up, I tell them, keep me accountable. If I don't show up, then if I decide to cancel that day, then you still charge me. So what it goes in my mind is like, crap, I need to pay for that. That session is going to be lost. All right, I'm going to push myself and just get through it and get it done. Yes, it's going to take a little bit of time to change up certain habits or certain thoughts of patients, but if you can spin it in the right marketing way, you can end up doing something very, very proactive for yourself on these no-shows.
And we put it in the paperwork when they make their appointment, but we let them know, like, being on time is something very important to our clinic. We don't want you to sit in the lobby. So we want to value and respect everybody's time. I had a patient who actually came in a half hour late this last week to do toxins and fillers. And we're like, we'll do your toxins, but not doing your fillers today, because you're a half hour late. So we could still get enough in that appointment, but we shouldn't treat somebody and then it's going to make you late for every patient after that. It's not fair to all those patients who came on time. So patients need to understand that. Goodness sakes, they should not walk in with a Starbucks when they're 10 minutes late. It's like, nah, leave it in the car.
Things do happen. You be flexible. Be flexible. I mean, I run late sometimes because I have extra things I need to get done on patients, or things happen, patient faints or something like that, and you're spending extra time. You can't control it. I think there's a balance of what it is. If the patient has a great excuse, they're flat tire, there's traffic, whatever, LA, there's always traffic and stuff like that. And I get a lot of people traveling from LA out to where I am. And so there's a grace period. And then I tell them, hey, you can show up, but you're going to have to wait because I have to take other patients. And you understand I will be going in and out of the room because I'm going to treat the other patient over you. So I don't necessarily kick them out, and you could say it's a teaching lesson for them. But I will, I still will treat them, but I tell them that you're lower on my totem pole because that's not your appointment time. I have other patients I'm going to focus on.
Yeah, I think it's really important just to, and we too, we have grace with patients. We do. If there's something that happens, we'll blow it off. But if it's a repeat offender, then we're really aware of that. Yeah. We also have a $10 fee for washing off their makeup. So it's in the instructions. No makeup when you come for fillers or anything. And if they come with makeup, we do have a sink before you get into the room, and we have all the makeup remover there, and it's called a spackle removal bar, and they can wash their face off. So if they better come early And if they're late for their appointment, that's different too. But we've done it like once, but we'll threaten them to charge them $10 to remove their makeup. I think once we've done that. But people come in with no makeup on, you guys. They do. And it's safer because you're not inoculating, pore-driven makeup into where you're doing your fillers. So that's been a good thing too.
Yeah. And it's better for your pictures.
Right?
My MAs come back and they take the picture and the patient has makeup. I'm like, seriously, you need to wash the makeup so I can see the pigmentation that we're about to treat.
Implement it.
Oh no, we have. It's just getting everybody on board at our clinic. So anyways, 5 ways to reduce patient no-shows. Have patients show up 10-15 minutes early. That's definitely a possibility. And we say enforcing your patient no-show policy. Automate appointment reminders. Definitely. I think that's important to remind your patients to show up to their appointment or cancel the appointment at the right time frame. And remind them that if they don't show up, they will get charged for their appointment. Follow up on missed appointments. I don't know about follow up on missed appointments, but you definitely need to categorize who shows up late all the times and just make sure that they understand, hey, we're keeping you accountable. And then of course keeping your wait time to a minimum. Repeat offenders. What do you do, Lori?
I know it's tough. We've soft fired people that have been repeat offenders. I tell you, there's some people that really can take a lot of your joy away in your clinic. It's really rare, thank goodness. The majority of our patients, like every day, I talk to our staff and I'm like, we have the best patients. We have the nicest patients. But rarely there is somebody who's just unhappy on the inside. And I think we can fix the outside, but we can't fix the inside. So when you get somebody that is just unhappy and they'll lie about conversations on the phone when they get back to the provider, or they get back to me and they lie about the front desk. Well, we have everything recorded and it's all transcribed. So it's super easy for us to go through and look at the dictation. So they kind of squirm if that happens. But if it's really, really a problem, we'll soft fire people if they really take our joy away and they're really a problem and they disrupt the clinic. Like they can be really rude and nasty on the phone to the front office, and when they come in, but they're nicest pie to me. No, you're not going to be nasty to my staff. You're not going to be nasty to them. I don't want to see you if you are. So we'll soft fire them, which means there's just no appointment open. They call and you're like, well, nope, nothing's open. Nope, nothing's open. Oh, no, next year? No, gosh, that's booked too. Let me put you on a wait list. And you just never call them. So if they wait long enough, they're not going to come back. They'll just find somewhere else to go and somebody else to bother.
And unfortunately, 10% of the problematic patients are probably 90% of the problems. Unfortunately, that is true in every single manner of the word.
That's why kind of soft firing and being really nice to these people is good, because they can leave Yelp reviews. They can leave Google reviews that are nasty and you really had nothing to do with them. So I had someone contact me on Instagram a couple weeks ago that said, hey, I haven't seen you for like 5 years and I want to come in. I'm like, okay, contact the office. There's a consult fee. We have to do a consult. I'm not going to pay for a consult. I'm like, well, I haven't seen you for 5 years. We need a reconsult. Well, I need to know how much things are going to be before I see you. I'm like, I can't tell you that. So he left a bad Yelp review because we wouldn't tell him how much he needed. So some of these things, it's just hard. It's hard to do that. You can't, like I said, you can't fix the inside. Go somewhere else.
Yeah, there's a balance. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people get very pushy, bougie about things, and you take some and you you kick some to the curb. On the aspect of it, hard firing versus soft firing. Hard firing is you just don't want to see them at all. Soft firing is say, you know what, kick the can down the road. Soft firing, they don't know they're fired. You just don't have an appointment open. There's no time slot open. You'll call them back. You'll put them on a wait list, but there's no wait list they're on. We have a code in our office that on our medical records, if there is an asterisk before their name, they are not to be scheduled. So if they call and they say their name, our front office looks them up. If there's an asterisk there, we know that they've been soft fired. We are not to schedule them. Hard firing is very overt. You bring them in. You have a check made out for whatever procedures they haven't done. Maybe they've done a package and you're like, whatever the money is, you've got a check made out. They sign a form that states they will not blast you on social media or blah, blah, blah. It's a whole legal form that they sign, give them their check, they leave. You never want to see them again.
So that's not real common, but I've done that a couple times.
Occasional.
It's rare.
Very rare.
It's very rare.
I mean, they have to push my buttons significantly before that.
It's very rare.
Handling reviews, good, bad, that is the hardest thing, because ultimately a lot of patients, in my opinion, utilize the bad reviews as blackmail.
Right.
You know, if they don't get it their way,
right.
they have to pay for something that they don't want to pay for. They're just going to say they're really expensive, or blah, blah, blah. They'll make up lies about it. You know, I told Lori, we probably need to put into there, because we're not supposed to respond. Because if you respond, then you're, by HIPAA law, breaking the HIPAA law.
We can respond in general comments. So we can't acknowledge at all. You can't acknowledge that somebody is your patient.
Unless you write it in a consent when they first come in.
That's so smart.
You put it in the consent.
Let's do that.
And say, if you put a review, you
forfeit your rights for HIPAA.
Forfeit your HIPAA rights, because you now have told everybody that you are a patient of mine.
Interesting.
And now I can respond. If you write that clearly in the consent, potentially you can respond.
I think we need to talk to our lawyers about that. We should do that.
Those are things you could talk to your lawyers about. But
I like that. We should see if we can.
But then again, there's a balance of arguing and what you really want to do. But you know, I think that sometimes when patients blackmail you on the aspect of it, we've gotten a lot of that, because patients are like, "Well, why are you so much more expensive? I think you should charge this amount." And I'm like, sorry, that's what we charge. You're paying for the experience of the practitioner. You're not paying for blah, 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 blah. So that's what happens.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, if you want to respond to something, you have to make sure that you don't acknowledge that they are a patient at all. Like this gentleman who gave a 1-star at the Yelp because he had to pay a consult fee and we wouldn't tell him how much things were. So I had my manager go on there and very generally say, you know, we always want all of our patients to have a wonderful experience. We do have consult fees of this much so that we can help people understand what they might need in the future. So you can leave a general comment, but you can't acknowledge that they are your patient whatsoever. Like, we're so sorry you had a bad experience. We hope you come in again. Don't put that in there. It's got to be very, very general so that you don't get in trouble legally.
Yeah. So in summary, establish clear communication. You want to foster that transparency. You want to foster that relationship. You know, I think it's the most important thing as you get into this field. It's the reason why we have long time patients, is because I think we're very clear about our communication. We really, really spend time getting to know our patients, understanding their wants, their needs, and then expressing what we can deliver to them. Sometimes I'm like, I can't do that for you. That's not something that I'm comfortable doing, or that's not something that I think I'm adept at enough. So let me send you to blah, blah, blah. You know, I think people are happy to hear that you know where your limitations are, and that they can trust you for being honest with them. I think that's what people are all about, that you give them realistic results and you're able to deliver upon them. And as Lori says, under promise, over deliver.
Yeah. And make sure that we don't have a problem with our no-show or booking policies at all. The patients, it's very clear to them when we send out information, when we state it on the phone, it's very, very clear of what the policies are. And I think if people know their expectations and they know their boundaries, they work well within those. It's when they're not sure as far as what limits they can push. If they know that this is the limit and I can't push that limit, then they function very, very well inside those boundaries. So just establish it, hold to it. But there's always patients that you're gonna you know them, and they would never miss an appointment on purpose, or they would never usually be late. We know them, so we do give them grace. But that's going to be up to each patient and each clinic.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see what else I think is important.
Repeat offenders, hold them accountable.
Yep.
And we address their behavior pretty promptly. They get charged.
Responding promptly and professionally to negative reviews, globally asking concerns to show strong commitment to patient satisfaction. Yeah, I completely agree with that. You know, it's hard. You know, you have to play the game. Yelp, Google reviews are great because they elevate you and they give you credibility, but you know, it's also deadly when a patient does come and attack you for something that you can't control or something that you could say threw a temper tantrum at you?
What I've done in my clinic recently, because going to a conference, I was listening to a business lecture, and they were stating that millennials look at like Google reviews as a referral. They really trust that as much as a referral. And we've never asked for reviews ever. So we started. So we have a little business cards that we have the QR code on that business card that says, we appreciate, I can't remember what it said, but we appreciate you as a patient. We'd love to have you leave a review. So for our patients that are happy, which is 99% of them, but they're happy, we'll give them that little business card. And all they have to do is point their phone at it, and it takes them right to our Google review page, and they can leave a Google review. We've done that just the last couple months, and we've got like 10 reviews within 2 weeks, which has been really, really nice because now, just after those, I've gotten at least 2 people in this last week off the Google reviews. So that's starting to help. And I guess people really believe those, but that wasn't a priority with me before, but we're making that a little bit more of a priority. So what I do with my office is, okay, every 10 reviews we get, then we go out to dinner as a team. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. So I think we are done with our thing. Any quick questions? Because we have, according to them, 4 minutes left.
I know. Any quick questions? We're watching you here on the Q&A. Kelly, thank you for all your comments. I appreciate that. Yeah, some people can be really rude. Yeah, they can be. But we just have to kind of sit back, be as nice as we can, and try to get them out the door and not come back if that's possible. But it's tough. Yeah. It's tough.
It really, really is tough. What else out there? What else? I think that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, setting patient expectations is going to be key with any aspect of it, whether it's an interaction, whether it's your treatments, whether, it's even with your team and how to treat the patients and setting the expectations. I think that's important. We have, for our company, we have a culture manager. So there's a set of expectations that we expect out of our front desk, the way they talk, all of that stuff. And so that's kind of what we talk about. Let's see, Jessica Kim, where can we purchase Clardier products? Reach out to your Mint rep. They have the Clardier products that you can purchase out of, and jump on the webinar that
TJ is doing.
Dr. TJ Sai is going to be. I think it's going to be April 9th.
April 9th.
April 9th. So you can go on Mint's website or the Aesthetic Immersion website and register for that and do that.
Clardier has an Instagram page too. So just at Clardier, and you can look at it up there too.
Yep.
So what aesthetic medical record do we recommend? None so far. Nothing's perfect.
I need to create my own.
I know.
I'll create one for all of us that will make a difference.
It's all right. Kelly's heading off. Bye, Kelly. Client needs skincare instructions again. Thank you for So it's important that our patients have that education. So with our EMR, whenever they book an appointment, they get instructions sent out to them. The pre and post instructions are sent out to them. When we see them, we can hand them whatever instructions we might need. So we want to make sure that those patients have those instructions. There is no excuse of, I didn't read it, I didn't know. Patients will go, I just didn't read it. Well, that's your fault. That's on you. We sent out our stuff. So make sure patients are kind of held accountable nicely and gently, but that they're held accountable.
Amber, a patient walked out recently in the middle of a consult because I was trying to educate her on why I did not feel comfortable doing certain service. Did not like I cared enough to cause damage to her face. That's her. I mean, you can never can't get baffled on that, because at the end of the day, it's a person that wanted something for what they wanted. Those are probably the patients who are you could say, and could end up being do-it-yourselfers, right? Because they went on Instagram, they're educated, Dr. Google educated them. That probably saved you from dealing with a person who had high expectations for something that was not right for them.
Yeah, so she'll just go somewhere else and get it, and then you won't be blamed for the outcome. So that's good. Yeah. That's a good thing.
You know,
Yeah.
it comes, the territory, you know, the thing is you need to just stick to your guns as far as what you know, what is going to be safe for your patients, what's going to be the best outcomes for your patients. So don't feel bad for it. Don't feel baffled. Just go, thank you for coming in. And, you know, I'm just not the right provider for you. Plenty of providers down the street for you.
Yep. If you want to take somebody, you can send them down the street.
Yeah. All right. So our next AI Live will be May 7th at 5 p.m.
And that's going to be a surprise topic, so we will bring that up with you later. Yeah, so it'll be fun. So we will. This has been a good subject. I thank you for your interactions, you guys. Thank you so much for some of your feedback. It's a tough thing, you know. Handling difficult patients is tough, but I think if we stay loving and we stay genuine and we set those boundaries, they will function very well in those boundaries. They really do. And you know, there's always times that we bend. There are, but we don't want to be taken advantage of as providers or business either. So that's not fair of people to do that to us. But anyway, this has been fun.
If you loved this topic and wanted to watch it again, it will go up on our YouTube video. We have a ton of YouTube videos actually now. Yeah. So let everybody know, because all of this is out there for you guys. And then, of course, we do have our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you want to hear this while you're driving, feel free.
Listen to us again.
Drop us comments. Let us know what more topics you want us to talk about, and we'll keep racking our heads and keep having fun talking about different things in the industry.
Yeah.
So until the next time, thank you for joining. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.